Welcome back, Wastelanders. This is Gary, and this is the second part of, the video number 2, or the project number 2 of dyeing the scales. So I dyed the scales, and if you keep watching to the end, I dyed the scales of the Civivi Kiwi, and I did a disassembly video of the Civivi Kiwi. But since I had a longer scales on the project 2, I could leave a little bit more naked jade. So you see how it looks, like even on the black. So from my experience, jade doesn't want to dye all the way on the other side unless you just dye the whole scales. You leave them in there like 10 minutes or longer. So I'm dipping. This process of dipping, I don't have the luxury of leaving them in there longer, because for one, it's super hot and I have to like dangle it on a aluminum wire, and I kind of think it's neat that it preserves the luminosity. I don't know, with transparency through the other side. It almost looks like white is coming through, but the scales will come through. So I put one on the scales just to let you know how it looks. It doesn't look that much different. Just picture this a bit darker. According to the tutorial I watched, I think this will take 30 minutes to get an excellent darkness, and then scratches with a stone wash. So, and I'm going to tie a lanyard to, I don't know if I mentioned it, I'm going to tie a lanyard to all the knives. You can cut the lanyard off. Feel free to cut the lanyard off. All right, so stay tuned to the end. And if I don't say it, take care, Wastelanders. I'll show you the color that I'm going with. I don't know if you can tell that's green, but if you look at the paper, it's green. It's called a peacock green, if you can look through the bubbles. Peacock green. It's all I'm all out of. I've dyed other knives green. Hey Wastelanders, this is a bonus part of the video. Since I dyed these scales, the Project 2 scales, I think, man, I wanted to dye these green, so do a bonus video of me taking the Civivi Kiwi apart, because I always dye my scales off of the knife. So I know you could do it on the knife, but I prefer to, just to learn about the knife and take it apart. I like to make my life harder, I guess. Oh. Ooh, so I must remember that. These, the bottom is shorter. It's a shorter screw, and the top is a longer screw. And the pocket clip screws, I'm wondering if they're the same way. We'll find out. Yeah, it's the same way. So towards the edge, the blade is the shorter screw. Make a mental note of that. And, well, I'm talking to the camera because I'll have to review the footage when I put it back together. I have to heat the fucking pivot. Okay, sorry about the noise if you hear a noise. I had to turn the air conditioning on. It got very hot in here. Yeah, I finally got the pivot loosened up, again, I left a little burn mark on the scales, but again, it will disappear. So you can see how the knife is constructed. Little liners, little tiny liners. The knife is about the same size as a chapstick, so the liners are even smaller. So scales, and this is a slip joint, so it's a non-locking mechanism. It's not a traditional slip joint, but nonetheless it's a slip joint. Small, tiny ceramic bearings, tiny. And I'm curious of this, if this yeah, it has a little mark, and you have to, like, a little detent, like so. Oh, it's kind of nested in there. So you basically have a detent ball on both sides of the liners that keep the knife in, the blade in. And here's the blade. It has a nice stone wash. Oh. Alright, this has been your bonus footage, because I'm going to dye these scales the same color as the Project 2 knife. Okay, I'm ready to reassemble the knife. You can see the scales. You've probably seen the scales at the beginning of the video. They turned out great. In the end, I'll probably apply a little bit of mineral oil to, like, bring the color out more. And but I'm going to reassemble the knife, and I'm going to not show you that because you saw how it disassembled, but I don't want to make the video longer. If I encounter any problems, I'll mention them. And remember, the portion of the screws, these are longer screws because they go to a post, but these are shorter screws on the bottoms of these, with the bottom of the knife where the knife locks up, because they go into the steel alone, and they don't want to come through to touch the blade. So, and I'll apply a little KPL to make the action better. The action wasn't like the greatest, but it'll be great when I apply the KPL. I don't think any oil was on the knife. I didn't encounter it. I didn't even have to clean it up. So, presto, I'm back together. So this C, keeping this C on level, straight, you know, whatever you want to call it, was a bitch. It's such a little nubbin, whatever, I don't know what you call it. It's such a little tiny piece to fit in this G10. It keeps wanting to move as you screw it. So I had to, like, oh man, I had to rearrange it several times. I didn't have to take it apart, but it was pretty hard to keep it straight. And if you take the knife apart, when you put it back together, use the longer screw on the pocket clip first to help hold the barrel spacer in, because it will spin on this screw. I tried it several times, so I end up putting the pocket clip back on first, and then the screws wouldn't spin, and the barrel spacer basically wouldn't spin if you put it together right, I guess. So other than that, it's a very, very good flipper. Let's try to flip it on camera. Like, you have that snap to it. Before, it didn't have a snap. Oh man. Yeah. So it was I had to use a lot of strength before to launch it out, but not now, because the bearings are doing their part because they're well oiled now. You can't shake it out, and it's not a knife you can shake closed, but you can get a satisfying flick out of it now. So I hope you like it. If you don't, oh well. I might buy the black one too, because at first I wanted to buy the black one because I really like the black one. But I'm glad I got these scales to practice on, and I really like it. So when I get a job, I'll probably buy a black one too. It's so great to hear a satisfying snap now. All right, and yeah, I can close it with my finger now. Before I couldn't disengage it. So, all right, and one last look in these scales of Project 2. I had a callback from Caterpillar, so I got an interview at Friday at 9 o'clock. Maybe if all goes well, I'll get a third interview telling me I got the job. Wish me luck. Take care, Wastelanders.